good, fam? Welcome back to Unlockable Character. We are at the car wash, and one thing I want to talk about is fitment for wheels, tires. You know what I'm saying? When you get into cars and you see these perfectly lowered, perfectly stanced cars on the Facebook groups, you know what I mean, online, on Instagram, and you're like, damn, how did they make their car look that good? You know what I mean? That's fitment. That's the wheel and tire fitment. And it turns into this whole, you know, maze of, you know, grandfathered, you know, gatekeeping, like specs for certain cars that you gotta like basically earn the right to know and shit. And it's ridiculous, you know what I mean? But overall, when you see a car outside, you know, when you see a modified car and you look at how close the tire is to the fender, it's one of those things that tell you, you know what I mean, like how dialed in is the car, or how far is the owner pushing it. Every person has their own style, you know what I mean, their own aggressiveness with their stance, their camber. And it's one of those things that the people that push the most aggressive setups, they keep them so tightly, you know, so tightly held to their chests because they don't want other people to know their specs. And I mean, like, I get it, like you want to have your own unique stance, but at the end of the day, I think you should share so that other people can enjoy really good setups. These cars have plus 20 offset from the factory on the wheels. It's a staggered 19 by 9.5 in the front, 20 by 10.5 in the rear, plus 20 as the offset. So if you do 20mm spacers all the way around, it goes completely flush to the fender with one finger fitment. And then from there, you can really lower it on a kit of your choice. The lowering springs don't get as low as height adjustable kits, and height adjustable kits don't get as low as coilovers. My recommendation is to do a height adjustable kit. I did the Cobra height adjustable suspension. It has a perch which you can rotate up and down to raise and lower the ride height, kind of like a coilover, but you retain the factory dampening control system, which is the ability to go from soft to firm in terms of the suspension dampening. Many of the coilover setups, 90% of the coilover setups for the G80 and the G82, you lose the dampening control. So that's why a height adjustable kit gives you a really good drop, retains the dampening control, and gives you the adjustability of raising it up or down based on your needs. You know, of course, the most daily drivable would probably be air suspension if you went that route. You could also do kind of like a show car setup. And if you live in the city and you need to get up on these big inclines on, you know, parking decks and stuff like that, the air suspension is definitely the way to go. So feeling out the car after the wash, the brakes don't work so well, so I gotta pump them with the carbon ceramics. Just noticed there's a biker behind us. Beautiful day for a drive, guys. Got gas before we got to the car wash. We're at like E43, E44 mixture right now. Pretty much perfect. Just realized just how stiff these cars are, guys. I'm in the softest suspension settings, comfort chassis, but still feel every bump. I of course have a lot of the SPL parts, which are these titanium arms and these solid bushings instead of the rubber bushings all over the suspension. The biggest bang for buck upgrade, I would say, on the G80 and the G82 is the front thrust arms inside the rubber bushings. If you replace those with monoballs, there's a few companies that make them. Milway Motorsports is the one I have. I think Dynon makes one now. Those are a great upgrade in terms of handling feel on the front end. These cars are very numb, and That's the best way to get back some driving feel, is to start swapping out those rubber bushings, starting with the front tension arms. On the rear-wheel drive G80s and G82s, I know not many people get them anymore, but you can get the CSL whole hub setup for the front end, for both front left and front right, which increases the amount of camber you can run in the front for rear-wheel drive M3s and M4s, which is really nice. Without going to a camber plate, you can get some more just using the CSL hub on both front corners. When the car has a full tank of gas, you also realize how heavy it is. You can definitely sense the weight. When you're down to like a quarter tank of gas, the car really starts to dance. Biker doesn't get amped up, try to do something crazy. You can imagine when I see just nonsense on the road, I'm like, just get me the hell home, you know what I mean? In a sensible way, I'll say that. A random car on the side of the road. Got an old Toyota with an ATV in it. What a car, guys, honestly. Literally sounds like a jet taking off. was fifth gear. Shook the whole car like a friggin' earthquake. That was crazy. I was debating about opening the window or not underneath the bridge, but kind of enjoying not having the wind noise right now. It's that fifth gear whine. Sixth gear. Look how many ladders are on this van, guys. Tell me that's not affecting performance. Incredible shifts, honestly. Definitely felt a little bit of unbalance at like 140 there. Imbalance, not unbalance. Pickup can't keep up. Look at that thing, that's crazy. Holy hell. Can definitely feel the wind today, guys. There's a lot of wind tunnels, basically. They're carrying the car forward and then to the right. sometimes I'm just waiting for this huge boom. Sometimes it doesn't happen. That's the craziest thing. Whew. Thought it was gonna be a boom there.